Alright guys, welcome back to Death from Above 40k. It's battle report time again and I'm super pumped about today's battle. Me and Jakey Boy are at it again. We're in the Death from Above 40k laboratory, bloody underground bunker, man cave slash bloody dungeon under your mum's house, whatever you want to call it. And we've put together two lists. So we've got the Imperial fists facing off against the Death Guard. Now this is something I'm looking forward to. I love playing with my vanilla Space Marines, as most people call them, with their little chapter upgrades, so this is good. So as I said, I'll be heading off the Imperial Fist, which some of you will notice is my Brimstone Bolters custom chapter, but they are painted exceptionally close to the Hammers of Dawn successor chapter of the Imperial Fist. So I feel very comfortable doing this. And I want to try out the rules anyway. I got on the bandwagon a bit late, so I'm going to be able to use the Devastator Doctrine for one round. But hey, let's get at it and see what it can do. So I'll break down my Space Marine list first, and then I'll go through Jakey Boy's Death Guard list, which he's done some tasty things to. So first off in the list that I'll go through is there is a battalion, and that's it in this army list. The complex part of the list is that I want to break down is these two characters at the front. So I've got a chaplain and I've got a captain on a bike that's going to be a chapter master. Now I'll go through the chaplain first because I had to use about 3 books to put this guy together, which is pretty funny. So he's a chaplain. Now what I've done with this chaplain is first off, out of the Faith and Fury Psychic Awakening, I have made him into a... Let's have a look what it's called here. So much stuff in this thing. He's the Warlord and he's a Master of Sanctity. So the Master of Sanctity pretty much means that he can do 2 litanies instead of 1 litany. So then what I've done on top of that is made him the Warlord so that I could give him the Warlord trait. The Warlord trait is Wise... I can't even say it's probably Wise Orator. Now what Wise Orator does is allows me to re-roll the litanies. So he can cast 2 litanies and he can re-roll those litanies. Now on top of that, I have paid another command point to make him a Sentinel of Terror, which lets him take a second Warlord trait. And for that one, we've gone with Hand of Dawn, which allows us to recover D3 Warlord traits. So hang in there with me. Then for his 2 litanies, I've given him Catechism of Fire and Retication of Focus. I hope I'm saying these right. Now what they do is one of them gives a unit within 6 +1 to hit, and one gives a unit within 6 +1 to wound. So he's going to be making his way up the board, just giving a unit of his choice extra hitting and damaging power, or hitting and wounding power. So that was him. That comes from 3 books, the Space Marine books, the Imperial Fist book, and the Faith and Fury book. Whew. There you go. So glad we got through that bit. Second up, we've got a captain on a bike, which I've paid 2 command points to make a chapter master. Now, he's armed with a Power Fist and a Storm Bolter. So he's got a heap of bolt rounds, which will work well with the Imperial Fists like chapter traits. Their chapter trait is they ignore cover, and whenever firing bolt weapons on a 6, they get an extra hit. All right, so that's pretty cool. And then I've given him the Eye of Hypnoth. So straight off the bat, I have spent 3 command points. I'm pretty sure it is. Yep. So 2 to make him a chapter master, and then 1 to make him the What's a Meduba, an extra Warlord trait. But when the battle starts, I'll get to roll a dice to get D3 back. So I could go back up to 8, and that could pay for all my little stuff that I've done here. Now let's go through the rest of the list. So, troops, we've got 1, 2 identical troops. They've all just got bolt guns, and 1 guy in each unit has a heavy bolter. Troops over here, 5 of again, we've got a multi-melter. All have got a bolt gun, and then we've got a sergeant with a chainsword and combi melter. So that's the troops choices. Then we'll go to elites here. 5-man unit of Terminators. And a Cyclone missile launcher. So these are just your normal shooty Terminators, which should go well once again with the Imperial Fist Doctrine. Then we'll go to fast attack. We've got 1, 2, 3 land speeders, all with Typhoon missile launchers and heavy bolters. So they just pretty much dakka, really cheap. I rate these things. If you play Space Marines, get these. They fill your fast attack and they're really good. Alright, heavy support. Thunderfire cannon. It's going to rain death. Over here, Land Raider. This one's the Crusader, and it's also been given an extra Storm Bolter on top, and it's also been given the Multi-Melter as well for some extra anti-armor, and then more bolt guns again, so more Imperial Fist. Dakka. Alright, then we've got 5-man Devastator squad with all grav and a drop pod. So they've also got the little Armorium Cherub. So these guys will probably jump in there with them and so on and so forth. Put a heap of guys in here, armour up and move forward. So that's the Imperial Fist layout. Sorry, it was a bit of a mouthful. It's just these new Space Marines. They use a lot of books now and a lot of different things that you can put together with them, but it should be good. So should hit really hard in the first round and then continue to hit reasonably hard for the rest of the battle. So we'll see how it goes. All right, we'll move over here. We've got the Death Guard, and what have we got here today? So same thing again. This one's just a battalion. So in the battalion, we've got a Lord of Contagion. He's just got the Scythe. Then, as the Warlord, we've got Chaos Lord and Terminator armor. He's got the Fulgaris helm, and he's also got Arch Contaminator as his Warlord trait. That lets him give the big 9 and 10 inch reroll ones to hit and reroll all wounds for plague weapons. Makes him really nasty. So they're the 2 HQs. Then we've got 1, 2, 3 5-man Plague Marine units. In those Plague Marine units, we've got Plasma Gun on the Champion and 2 Blight Launchers. Everyone else has bolt guns, and they've all got their little knives that are covered in pus and stab the crap out of everything. So that's the battalion with the 2 HQ's troops. Then in elites, we've got 3-man unit of Death Shroud Terminators. After the last battle, he said that these guys did really well cutting through Blood Angels, so why not cut through another style of Space Marine? And I can't argue with Jake's logic on that. That makes sense to me. Over here, 1, 2 Foul Blight Spawns. Never ever leave home with less than 2 Foul Blight Spawns. They just do damage. Then points-wise, he's squeezed in 1 Fetid Bloat Drone with 2 Spitters. Nasty, fast-moving stuff. Then in heavy support, we got 2 Plague Burst Crawls with Spitters, Sluggers, and the cannon on the back. And then we've got a Land Raider with las cannons and a heavy bolter. So that is the 2 lists at 1,500 points. Both of them come in at 8 command points. This one over here obviously comes in at 8 command points, has spent a heap of command points, and then it's going to get some command points back. We'll see how that works out. I don't know. But another thing we're pretty happy with, we've got Land Raiders on Land Raiders. I love Land Raiders. For those of you who don't know, the first vehicle I ever owned in 40k was a Land Raider. So there you go, a little bit of now you know. So we'll roll up a mission and we'll get this battle going. Some armour on armour, brother on brother. Alright guys. Okay guys, so we've rolled up a mission and we've got frontline warfare. Now there's one little thing that I want to just quickly clear up. At the start of the battle, I said I'd spent 3 command points. There's actually 4 on this guy because it also costs 1 command point to make him the master. So there was 2 spent on him for chapter master and 2 spent on him. 1 for the extra warlord trait and also 1 for him being the special souped up chaplain. So before I go into the mission, I'll quickly roll here because this is the first time we've done that to see how many command points I get back, and then we know for the battle. So I get 2 back, so that's simple enough. So the Imperial Fist will have 6 command points for the battle after spending 4, so not too bad. Alright, so the mission, frontline warfare. We've got I can't even say it, objective over here in the Imperial side. Then we've got 1, 2 in the centre, and then there's 1 in the bottom of this building just behind these guys on this bottom level, right behind this door. Right, now how this one works is, at the end of each battle round, you get 1 point for holding the objective in your own deployment zone. You get 2 points if you hold any of these ones that are in the center. And then if you can take the one that is in your opponent's deployment zone all the way over here, you get 4 for that. So the whole idea is wanting to move forward and crush each other. So let's go over the deployment. Jake set up as the attacker. So he got to I got to choose the deployment, which I chose the standard 12, and then he got to set up all his stuff first. So what has he done? So starting on the right hand side, he's got Plague Burst Crawler coming across. That's where the objective is in there. He's got Fetid Bloat Drone, and he's got a unit of Marines up top, which are obviously there to hold said objective. A little bit of defense on it as well. Coming across here, we've got Terminator Lord, Foul Blight Spawn behind him, and then 2 units of troops hugging the cover. They're not really hugging the cover, you just put them as forward as you can because Imperial Fists ignore cover, so it don't really matter. Then we've got Land Raider here. He's put it in a good position where this building's in front of it, so if I seize the initiative, it protects his Land Raider a little bit. Then if we come over here, inside the Land Raider as well is the Lord of Contagion, the 3 Death Shroud Terminators, and he's also put a Foul Blight Spawn in with those guys as well. And then over here, he's got another Plague Burst Crawler. So he's got all these objectives covered and ready to come forward, and I'm a bit nervous because old Jakey boy has gotten quite good at list making and playing with the old Death Guard. So I'll be on my toes for the battle. So let's go over here and see how I've set up. At this point in time, I'm going second. So I've done like a weird hidden my land speeders as much as I can from line of sight over there in this big Imperial Bastion. Then we got the Chapter Master down here because he rides around with these guys. Then behind the Land Raider we have the Chaplain, and then over here we have the Thunderfire Cannon holding our objective. So inside the Land Raider is 2 units of Tactical Marines, the ones with the heavy boulders, and then also in reserve I have the 5-man unit of Terminators, and I also have the Drop Pod with the Devastator squad in it, and another unit of Tactical Marines with the Melter Weaponry. So at this point, the only thing to do is try to ruin Jakey's day and seize the initiative, and I definitely want to have a crack at that. Alright, that's a 5. So it's going to be Death Guard turn 1. So we'll have to withstand some shooting and then return the favour. We'll get back to you in a minute. Alright guys, end of Death Guard turn 1, and Jake has gotten straight into the scoring the points. And this is one of them ones where you just start racking them up straight away. It's frontline warfare. So, movement wise, all this stuff stayed here on this objective. Now, I don't know what's going on here, but he's protecting it. This thing come wheeling around here. He advanced it, but only rolled a 1. These guys ran into here. They got a really big run from the front of here and got on that objective, scoring 2 points. These guys ran up behind him. The Land Raider swung around here and got a bead over on the other Land Raider. Shot over at it. You're sunk by battleship. Anyway, that's how I think. Then this Plague Burst Crawl come up here and got another 2 points. So in the movement phase, he's held this one here. He's holding this one in the centre. He's holding this one in the centre. Giving him a grand total of 5 points. Damage wise, the only things that were in range to shoot or do any sort of damage was the Land Raider, which shot over into this and did 5 wounds with its las cannons. It didn't fare so well in the wounding department. It hit with everything, but then it only wounded once, but then done 5 damage. Typical bloody las cannons. And then over here, these guys ran, but they can still shoot their blight launchers, and they took off between the 2 units and another 2 wounds, bringing it up to 7. So, really good first round for the Death Guard. And scoring 5 points straight off the bat is definitely nothing to scoff at. So I've got to get to it and try and swing things around. So we'll get back to you at the end of Imperial Fist, turn 1. Alright guys, end of Imperial Fist, turn 1. There's been some moving and some shaking. Right, first things first. Land speeders that were all up in here have moved across here. In front of them, the Chapter Master, he just moved out. He's sort of in this bubble here of re-rolls for everything. And then the Chaplain's behind the Land Raider. And obviously the Thunderfire Cannon stayed still. These guys over here, before the Land Raider moved, ran over here to hold this objective. And then the last bit of movement was my drop pod came down behind Jakey's forces. So, shooting wise, first impressions of the Imperial Fist Doctrine. It's alright. The +1, you still got to get the work done though. Like, we removed the Land Raider here with a combination of all 3 land speeders firing at it, the Thunder Fire Cannon twice, the multi-melter off this, and all the melt weapons out of this squad. Finally got it done. So that's quite a bit of heavy weapons shooting for one tank. It is a Land Raider. They're not easy to remove, but there you go. Then the rest of the small arms fire off this Land Raider, fired over here and obliterated the squad that was on here. One part of the Imperial Fist that I really did like is the bolter drill. So when you're firing mass amount of bolter shots, you get a lot of extra shots, especially with the re-roll. Like you're absolutely peppering them. This also had the +1 to wound on it from the chaplain. So even with the re-roll for both of my litanies at the start of the battle round, I only got off the one that allowed +1 to wound and not +1 to hit. But hey, you can't have everything. With re-rolls to hit, the +1 to wound worked out better. So that's pretty much this guy here. Chapter Master also shot through here, killed one of the guys in this unit. So that's pretty much it for the guys on this side. Coming around here, these guys use their grav guns and the stratagem to go over and shoot this thing in here. They did something like 12 wounds on it in the end, and he rolled like he only failed 5 disgustingly resilience. So I thought I would have come pretty close to doing that thing in. Not so much. But hey, that's how it goes. So at the end of my battle round, I got first strike, and I held an objective in my deployment zone, and one here, so I got 4 points. The other thing too is, just through that wall where the Tech Marine is, I used him to heal a wound on this as well, which is why I've parked this funny here. Alright, so that's the end of Imperial Fist turn 1. We did do some carnage, but he's got plenty of stuff still on the field, so we'll let him have his next turn, and we'll get back to you. Alright guys, end of Death Guard turn 2. So, movement wise, these guys come down out of the rafters, pointing their guns this way. The Fed Bloat drone, he's a bit slower, but he managed to get this far. And then one of these foul blight spawns came back this way. Everybody else here just did a push forward. If it doesn't look like these guys went very far, they only have a movement of 4. This thing advanced up and he's sitting on the objective. This thing stayed still. So, shooting wise, and well, there was no combat actually, so just shooting wise. In the back lines here, these guys shot over into the tactical squad and only managed to kill 1. Remembering there's minimal re-rolls here because they're not near the captain. Still did pretty good. Between this guy and the foul blight spawn, they obliterated the Devastator squad here in this that was here, so they're no longer there. That's Gonski's. This guy over here, he with his plague spitters, he rolled low and he only managed to kill 1 of these guys, but then he rolled high with his damaging Majigger on the back and took 4 wounds off this land speeder. So that was pretty cool. So he smashed that up a bit. Then pretty much everything in the center here. So this guy, Plague Burst Crawler, Foul Blight Spawn, and some grenades and stuff shot into here. This thing's now taken, what do we got? I think it's on 1 wound left. Yeah, what's that? 12 plus 3. Yeah, so it's taken 15 wounds. He couldn't quite manage to get the last one off. And the charge failed here with these guys running in, but no one died in Overwatch either. So, at the end of the Death Guard turn, they scored another 3 points, putting him on 8. So he's doubled the points in front of me because I'm on 4, he's on 8. So not bad at the end of Death Guard turn 2. So, we'll get on with Imperial Fist turn 2 and see if we can't do some fisting. Because that's what Imperial Fists do and stuff and all that shit. Alright, let's get on with it. Alright guys, at the end of the Brimstone Boulders turn 2, it was a very frustrating turn. One of those turns where the dice just did not turn on. Stratagems just weren't working in your favour, but that is alright because we are still here on the battlefield and we will fight to the very last Space Marine. So, what did we do? these guys move back here. Between the three of these firing, well actually everything here, so the 3 land speeders, chapter master, and these guys firing in here, they took 5 wounds off this plague burst crawler. Down in here, the Thunderfire cannon managed to fire over and delete the unit of plague marines that was there, which was pretty good, and the guy through the wall also healed 3 wounds on this, which worked out pretty well because then the chaplain got both his litanies off, so it gave +1 to hit and +1 to wound. So this thing was hitting on 4s and wounding at +1. So it pretty much annihilated all the Death Shroud Terminators bar one that was standing there. So that wasn't too bad, like it did some work. It also fired its multi-melter over this way to try and do some more damage on this. Did nothing. Alright, coming around here, we had Terminators land down here to put some pressure on the objective over here and some other things. They shot everything they have into that Death Shroud Terminator and took 1 wound off him, and that was it. Then we attempted to charge, failed. No wounds or anything were taken, but failed charge. Then over here, well, sorry, we'll go back to here. After all that shooting and combat, we charged with the tactical squad, lost a bunch of them on the way in, then this guy consolidated in and killed him. Then the chaplain charged in, because it was a multi-charge, to shut down getting spooged all over by this guy, because he's like, yeah, spooged me. And then he whiffed, did not make a single wound. So, oh sorry, he made 1, no actually he didn't. He whiffed, you whiffed. You're not a very good chaplain. Actually, you're good at litanies, you're not good at fighting. The sergeant that was there managed to take 1 wound off this guy, but then this guy stepped in and finished off the sergeant. So it's only just the chaplain in the centre here against all this character madness. And then over here, the guys that were here first attempted to shoot all their guns in to get rid of this foul blight spawn. They only took 1 wound off him with, that was the multi-melter, melt gun and bolters. And then they thought, fuck it, we'll try and charge, because either way you're going to get... That's the thing I'll say. They all got nuked on the way into charging. The way I look at it is, if I didn't charge with them, they were getting nuked by these things anyway. So for a lot of people are going to be like, you shouldn't have charged, or you should have stayed there, or blah, 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 blah. That's not how this Death Guard army works. You're getting shot at in their turn, you're getting shot at in like both turns. There's just no way around it. There's so much spoogy guns. Alright, so at the end of my turn, I'm on 7 points, and Jakey's on 8 still, because we still managed to hold this one over here. I decided not to charge here just because that was holding a valuable objective. As for the troops over here, we could not even get, you know what I mean, it's under there. So we'll go to Death Guard turn 3 now and see what kind of carnage can be had upon me. Alright guys. Alright guys, Death Guard turn 3. High scoring, they've done some serious damage, but I've still got some stuff left to fight back. We'll start over here. So, the foul blight spawn that was here moved up towards these Terminators. A combination of it spitting and these guys shooting killed 2 of the Terminators. Then it charged into the Terminators, a rocket hit it and done like, I think it was 4 wounds, leaving it on 1 wound. Then it whiffed its combat completely, got slapped to the ground, then exploded, then did a mortal wound on this Terminator. This guy ran towards him to help with his McSpooge gun, but he was like an inch or 2 short. I'm happy with that. Over here, this thing finished off the Land Raider that was there, and then these guys just gang banged the shit out of the chaplain. He took just, let's just say he's in a better place now. It's far away from wherever this place is. He got real hammered. So they got Warlord that round. Note to self, chaplains can fight in combat. Does not mean they're great at combat. Remember that. This is the Blood Angels player coming out in me. Alright, then over here, this thing completely whiffed in every way. So it didn't kill any of these guys in front of it. And it tried to shoot its cannon over the back of these. Didn't do anything again. So it's just sitting there on the objective. But at the end of this, he did kill my Warlord. He killed the Land Raider, so he's taken away a fair bit of firepower. And that building there is where my objective is. So he's got some stuff coming right at me. And he scored 4 more points. So at the end of his turn 3, he's on 12 victory points. And I'm on 7. That's quite a significant lead. So I need to do something. And I need to do it next turn. Alright, we'll get back to you when the Imperial Fists fight back. Turn 3. Alright guys, end of Imperial Fists turn 3. And we've scored some points. But is it enough points is the question. Because this is getting away from us and we're losing units. So let's go through what happened. I'm going to start over here because I made a fatal mistake. One bit of it was good, the other bit wasn't. So I shot rockets across here into this, and it's down to 2 wounds. It's lost 10 wounds now. That worked out. And then I fired bolters into these guys, and I killed 2 guys, but they were the 2 guys on the bottom story. Then I rolled a 3 for my charge, which would have made it to the guys in the building had I not shot my bolters into them. I couldn't shoot my bolters at anything else because this guy's a character for anyone who doesn't know. So, fatal mistake that I made there, but that's okay. Coming over here, combination of firing from these guys. So obviously I moved these guys over here and the Chapter Master. So, one of the land speeders here finished off the Death Shroud Terminator that was there. And then the other 2, the Chapter Master and this in here, fired into this guy and he's on his last wound. So there was a lot of firepower to sort of do nothing. What I was sort of hoping to do was sort of pick off character by character as they were getting closer. If I had been able to shoot that one, then maybe fire some missiles in this. I'm not really sure, but the point of the matter is it didn't go so well. But then over here, we still stood on this objective, and this thing's pretty crippled now. So I've got a couple of Terminators left on the field. I've got some Marines here. Still got our Thunderfire Cannon, Land Speeders, and Chapter Master. The reason, obviously, I didn't charge Chapter Master in and pulled him back as well is because his rerolls to hit and his reroll 1s to wound is more valuable for all the shooting at this point. And even if I had to smash this guy in combat with him, this Foul Blight Spawn and a few other things probably would be able to finish him off in 1 round of Spoogin. So, at the end of my turn, I'm on 10 points and Jakey Boy's on 12. So we're still in the game. It's a matter of whether these guys survive now, I reckon. That fatal mistake could have cost me the entire game because to the right of them is the Spooge Master himself. Alright, we'll get back to you at the end of Death Guard turn 4 and see if I'm still on the battlefield. Alright guys, end of Death Guard turn 4. They've done some stuff. So first things, let's start over here. There's no more Terminators. This guy single-handedly, well he didn't actually, so this backed up a little bit and this guy blew him away. No more. So Operation Take the Back Line has come to an end due to some very irresponsible Terminatoring on my behalf. Over here, this guy just spooged goo all over these guys and killed him down to 1. He passed his test and he's sitting there with his heavy boulder, ready to just shoot chunks out of him. He's all like, bang, 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 mate. But I don't know what his chances are like. Coming over this side, this guy didn't run far enough to use his gun, and this guy moved forward, but because I moved my stuff right back, he failed to charge, but he didn't cop any damage on Overwatch. So they're coming for me. It's like that bloody movie, coming to get you, Barbara. You know the one. So at the end of Jake's turn 4, he is now on, bloody hell, that's 15 points, and I'm on 10. So he's still at a massive lead. So I need to do something to start taking back some of these objectives and getting back in the game good and proper. So what I'll do is I'll have my turn, see if I can't remove some of this stuff. When you play Death Guard, They just do not die. Alright guys, end of Imperial Fists, turn 4. And I feel like we've gotten somewhere this turn. The old luck has turned around just a little bit, not a lot, but just a little bit, just enough to get me back in the game. So, what happened? First things first. This guy stood in front of the Plague Burst Crawler and was like, daka, 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 and it was just ping, 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 bouncing off everywhere, nothing happening. So then he radioed in to the Thunderfire Cannon and he's like, yeah, nah, got your back, mate. Dropped some shells on it and pow! Away it went. Thank God it didn't blow up because I only had one model left on here, so we managed to stay here and hold this objective. By the gods! Alright, then over here, these guys made a rapid maneuver flying over here using their full movement characteristic. First land speeder shot into the Foul Blight Spawn, done nothing. Then the second land speeder shot into the Foul Blight Spawn and blew him up. Spooge went everywhere. This guy then shot into the Lord of Contagion, blew him up, and then the Chapter Master here drove up in front of his Warlord that was there. He was like, you like to punch on, mate? Fucking pow! Knocked the pus right off his bloody chin. Down into the dust he went. And then he consolidated back over here with his flying mechanisms of madness. So at the end of this round, we've managed to get sort of back in the fight. So I'm on 14 command points at the end of it because I held this one. We managed to hold this one over here and we killed his Warlord. So that puts us on 14 points and he's still on 15 points. So the game's not over yet. He's still got his bloody Foul Blight Spawns. Why I ever bought them, assembled them and painted them. I know why I did it. I love you, don't worry. So we'll get back to yours and see if I have any of my little fly mobiles left, and we'll get on to turn 5. So this is just another grindy battle between me and Jake, the only kind we like to have. Alright. Alright, end of Death Guard turn 5. Let's have a look. There's only these units here. So he's got his 3 on the back here. He's got this guy and this guy. And still, with that, there are no land speeders. Why are there no land speeders, you ask? Because Jake was like, eat a bowl of dicks at him. Boom! So, first off, this guy kaspooged the one at the back, annihilated it, it exploded, and done... speaking of which... Sorry guys, but he's got 2 wounds as well. It exploded and then killed the other one that was already wounded, doing 2 mortal wounds. So that was 2 of them downed. And then the Spoogosaurus just went boom and blew up the 3rd one. Now the Chapter Master also copped 2 wounds in the explosion. So between... These guys whiffed, by the way. So between these 2, they pretty much just blew up 3 land speeders and harmed, what's the word I'm looking for? Injured the Chapter Master. Injured his feelings, injured his bike, scratched the paintwork, not good Jan. So, at the end of that, we're going to have to go on and see what my turn 5 brings. See if I can't do something serious here, because this has just got interesting. I was going to rush all the way over here with a heap of land speeders and just blow these guys off here, but he decided to kill me first. So, we'll get back to you at the end of Imperial Fist turn 5. Alright. Alright guys, end of Imperial Guard turn 5. And it's gotten really interesting. So, a lot of the stuff whiffed, pretty much. The drop pod over here, shot in here and did nothing. The Thunderfire Cannon shot at this guy because he was the closest to Foul Blight Spawn and did nothing. Then this guy shot at him and did nothing. Then he multi-charged the 2. This guy rolled double 1s for the strength of his weapon and only 3 shots and did nothing. This guy got a couple of wounds on him, but I managed to save them. Then in the combat, the Chapter Master only did 2 wounds to the Foul Blight Spawn but copped none back in return. So, at the end of this, I am on... So, what's Jake on? He's on 18 points, and I'm on 17. But if the game ends, I will also receive line breaker for having a unit in his line. So on the roll of a 1 or a 2, this game comes to an end and it'll be a tie. Otherwise, we go on and we keep fighting. So I'm going to roll the dice now. That's a 2. There we have it. The game has come to an end at 18 points total. Everything's all smashed to shit. And wow. Yeah. So, all I have left is this Thunderfire Cannon on this objective. This little Marine over here, he's just singing Umbop by Hanson while he waits for the battle to be over. And then the Chapter Master that's in here. Jakey Boy has the Foul Blight spawn. This thing, which believe it or not is still at full strength. And the 3 guys over here holding his back line. What a slog. That was just an absolute slog. Man of the match again. Jake's picked the Foul Blight spawn. There really is no other unit. They do work. All throughout the battle, you know, 1, 2 of them. Realistic, I keep saying I should put a 3rd one in. When I'm allowed to go out and do a few more things, when some of these restrictions come off, I'll probably go to the Games Workshop and buy one. I like going into the store rather than buying online, so I'll wait till that time comes. My man of the match I'm going to give to the Land Speeders. None of them are left on the battlefield, but they did extremely well right up until the point where I put them here, but the pressure was on and I was going to try and zoom into the back line. And I'm going to give an honourable mention to this guy and his unit who just somehow withstood more spooge than a bloody porn star and still managed to hang on to this objective for me. If they had have died earlier on, this would have went a very different way. Alright, so there you have it. Imperial Fists versus Death Guard has come to an end. It's a draw, it's a grind. We'll get back to you with another one, and hope you've enjoyed it. Look after yourselves.